We're back with Charney, and she is from the Brain Alliance, right?
Brain Injury Alliance of Montana.
Awesome. And so what's going on with the Brain Injury Alliance of Montana?
Well, we're having a bowl for Brainstrong, on Sunday, June 7th. At Westside Lanes. We start at 10:30, and we're encouraging people to sign up as teams. We have some sponsors who have paid for other people to bowl, so if there's some people that want to bowl, they can give us a call at our number is 541-6442 if they want to bowl, and we'll make sure we have a spot for them. But the issue is also that we want to raise awareness and educate people about brain injury. So it will be a fundraiser, and we're excited that we have a sponsor as the Community Medical Center.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so there are a lot of businesses that are also sponsoring lanes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about brain injury. For people, how many people does this afflict?
We estimate there's 44,000 people in Montana who are impacted by brain injury, as well as their family members and then providers that help them, caregivers, and so it's a really huge issue. A lot of the brain injuries are caused by car accidents, falls, bicycle accidents and whatever. So our agency is really encouraging prevention and education so that those things don't happen. There's probably about 25 people a day that do sustain a concussion. Some are more severe than others. So we encourage people to wear helmets and use their seat belts and don't text and drive.
Yeah.
So we collaborate with a lot of other agencies in terms of the empowerment of and prevention activities.
And what's the number one cause for brain injury?
In Montana, it's the car accidents.
Is it?
And we've also this year taken on people who have strokes, because that is a brain injury as well. So it's not necessarily the elderly, because even younger people can have strokes. But that's a major thing that happens that we've probably ignored as strokes, is a brain injury.
And what services do you guys provide?
We have a helpline where people can call for resources and get connected with case managers after they leave the hospital. We get referrals from hospitals or clinics, working with statistics with police and emergency personnel, firemen, and that kind of thing. But it's a matter of helping the family members as well as the caregivers and the person with a brain injury. We have support groups throughout the state of Montana. There's about 11 support groups in the bigger cities, and we encourage the development of other support groups so that it's an ongoing process, because it does affect so many people. So we do that. We have just finished up 4 conferences. We had in Bozeman, Miles City, Kalispell, and Great Falls. Nice. And we had a wonderful attendance there of people to talk about the dynamics of brain injury and how to cope with it. And there's a lot of methods that we can help them remember things, because a lot of people lose their memory, their ability to communicate. There are certain behaviors that they have and that are not normal, but for that person. And the person's personality often changes, and so the conferences have helped them. Right.
So what is when a person gets a brain injury, what is some of the first things you do to help them?
Well, of course, it's the medical community that they're probably involved with. But if they can just call our helpline, and then we can refer them to resources, and then attend the conferences, and then really say, what other things could we do to prevent and educate people, and to educate the community about brain injury.
And also brain injuries, are there some different levels of brain injury where some brain injuries don't last, you can recover from some brain injuries?
Well, it depends on what part of your brain is injured. Oh. Whether it's the spinal area, the frontal lobe, the left or the right, and what it impacts people differently depending on the injury. And it could be from paralysis to just memory loss. And so we deal with whatever individual case it may be in terms of helping them.
But a lot of times, a lot of brain injuries is like a life sentence in a way.
Well, yes, they have to learn to live with a brain injury. At our conference, we have had speakers who have brain injuries. One of them featured speakers was a veteran who was in the Iraq War, and because of the bombs and the blasts, he has post-traumatic stress plus a brain injury. We have a woman who actually lives here in Missoula who spoke, and she had a car accident 25 years ago where a car ran into her when she was stopped, and she hit the windshield. She had, I'm not sure of the details, whiplash, and she still copes with it. And the person might have they appear normal. There's no physical signs, but emotionally and mentally forgetting things, getting very high emotions, either sad or very glad, their body temperature might change. So, I personally have had 3 concussions, and I think that it takes sometimes to realize that, it took months to just feel good.
Yeah.
And so you can say I recovered, but there are people that don't, and it is the paralysis or
and the thing about brain injuries is that a lot of times you don't know.
That's right.
Because a lot of times it's all internal.
Right. And one of the interesting things is in 2013, the legislature here in Montana passed the Dylan Steigers Act, where you have to take a young athlete in the school, like out of the football game, if this perhaps they have a brain injury, and they have to be checked by a medical person.
Right.
And we're trying to expand that act to, in the future, at the 2017 legislature, to involve other youth sports.
Yeah, especially when you have the kids, like some you have the older kids. Some kids are more developed than other kids. You have like a kid who's probably like still 5'5", hasn't hit his growth spurt. Then you have a kid who's 6'4", 250 pounds, rushing right at you and tackling you.
Right.
It's something you got to look out for sure.
But it's also youth sports, in terms of even soccer, they don't wear helmets.
Yeah.
There's other things, and roller skating, skateboards, and that kind of thing. It can affect anybody, and the other thing is the funding for it, and we have a governor's council. Governor Steve Bullock has a council that brings together people throughout the state of Montana to talk about things that we can do to fund programs, either prevention, education, or intervention.
And speaking of education, where can people find more information about your...
Well, they could call the Brain Injury Alliance of Montana, and the number is the 541-6442. And Kristen Morgan is the program director, and she can kind of give people the direction to go.
Awesome. And then I just have one more question, is what steps can people take to protect their brains when they're out, like activities and go out in the community or doing what they do?
Well, just be very aware of your surroundings and use safety equipment, and be very alert when you drive. I was rear-ended like 2 years ago, and bang, I was stopped again, but I wasn't hurt at that point. But just be very aware of your surroundings and drive safely, and just be very careful, I guess.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, thanks for joining us.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we go?
Just hope that people will call and perhaps join us at the Bowl for Brainstrong on Sunday, on June 7th, so there's still time to do that. We have some lanes open.
Yep, at Westside Lanes, right?
And the second thing is that we do have a silent auction, and I had intended to bring one of the bowling pins. We've had used bowling pins painted by local artists, and just come, if people just want to come to the Westside Lanes, from 10:30 to 2 o'clock, we have the silent auction open, and they can buy one of these pins. They're beautiful pins, bowling pins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very nice. Thank you very much.